Yo, how is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast. I am your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Jaylen, who is also on the call. How's it going, Jaylen?
What's up, guys?
So, I would like to say, before we start this video off, I'm going to plug me and Jaylen's social media. I would like to say Jaylen posts on social media about us consistently over the past 5 months, as Mitchell Trubisky has. But you can follow him at Chicago Bears _only, and you can follow me at Shy Bears News. We posted a ton of stuff about the Bears throughout the offseason, or at least I do. So follow us, and you can also follow the podcast social media at Bear Down on Twitter and Instagram. If you are interested in that, we are going to host a couple giveaways and stuff throughout the offseason, so make sure to follow us on all platforms if you are interested. Now today, we are going to be talking about Mitchell Trubisky and his selection to the Pro Bowl. I also would like to say if you do want tons of Chicago Bears content throughout the offseason, Jaylen is involved in posts here, so subscribe to the channel and like this video if you want more Bears content. We're getting close to that 200 mark, so we're very excited about that. But let's get right into it, Jaylen. I want to hear your thoughts. I called it about a week ago. I thought there was going to be a high chance that Trubisky would be selected to the Pro Bowl this year. Obviously, we knew going into the NFC Championship game that the two alternates were him and Matt Ryan, and then Parth did some digging and found out that Matt Ryan was added to the alternate list after Trubisky was. Trubisky was a natural alternate, and when Aaron Rodgers was pulled, Matt Ryan was also added to the alternate list to replace Russell Wilson, who got pulled in. It's a whole long process, but Parth figured out that somehow Trubisky was going to make it, but we didn't really know until today when the NFL announced that he was going to be selected. It's super exciting. But before we talk about whether he deserved it or not, just talk about, I guess, just the progress Trubisky's made this year and what you think about his season, if you think it's Pro Bowl worthy.
Well, he definitely had a way better season than last year. You know, he threw 17 more touchdowns. His picks did increase, but that's gonna happen when you
play more games. Yeah.
When you're starting more games and throwing the ball way more than you did in your rookie season, so
yeah,
I expected that pick number to go up. Next season, you definitely want to see it go down less, but he had a very good season. It was an average at best, but he won us games. Sometimes he could have lost us games, but our defense was that good that he didn't.
Yeah.
But of course, we all know about his 6 touchdown performance against Tampa Bay. He definitely had a good season to be in a new system. You know, coming from a John Fox system where all they did was run the ball on first and second down, and then clearly
throw the ball on third. Yeah.
Just the ball. Yeah. So this is only his first year in Nagy's system. I can't wait to see him developing in the second year.
Yeah. I would attribute him making the Pro Bowl to two things. Number one, just the Bears being good, being back on the radar. The fans were super interactive the entire season, and we got a ton of votes, not only for him, but a ton of players. Like guys like Leonard Floyd and Danny Trevathan were also alternates and didn't make it. Secondly, I would argue that Trubisky's progression this year led to him getting some votes from people outside of Bears fans. We saw that 6 touchdown game, and obviously Trubisky isn't someone like a Mahomes, but I would say Trubisky had an as good, if not a better season this year than Deshaun Watson. Watson was a little bit more flashy on paper. I think Watson also turned the ball over a bit too much, and Trubisky played better in the playoffs, so I think an argument could be made that Trubisky had a better season than Deshaun Watson if we're looking at the 2017 draft class. But just the jump he made from last year to this year, I think, is so huge, going from 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, to a total of 27 touchdowns, 24 passing, and 3 on the ground, and 12 interceptions. Obviously, you said that it's going to increase when you play games, so it was a good season for him. I think the jump is what attracted a lot of people. There were a lot of Trubisky highlight plays this year. He had some incredible runs against New England. Obviously, the 6 touchdown game against Tampa Bay, and also just some other flashy plays throughout the season that drew the attention of not only Bears fans but the entire NFL. So, I think the NFL was on their tabs a lot more than he was previously, and it was a good progression year for Trubisky. So I'm excited to see this for him. I'm excited that he's gonna go get a week of advice and training from not only, I think it's Dallas's staff, whoever their QB coach is, God knows who, but I don't know if I want whoever.
Kellen Moore, their QB coach is Kellen Moore.
But he'll get some advice from Jason Garrett. Obviously not Scott Linehan. I wish it was the Bears staff that was going down there. I don't know how they chose Dallas's staff to coach the NFC. But he'll get some, I guess, some decent advice from maybe Jason Garrett. But most importantly, he'll get advice from Russell Wilson and Drew Brees. And I'm sure Trubisky's going to put in some great work this offseason, and we'll see him back next season doing even better. I fully believe in him after this year. He won my trust throughout the season. So next, we're going to talk about whether he deserved it or not. I'm going to start off here. I wouldn't say he essentially deserved it. I think the argument that I made earlier about his jump, his progression, is one argument you could put forth that could say he did deserve it. Now, he made it over Matt Ryan, and I think the reason he made it over Matt Ryan, I talked about it earlier, is the Bears fans being a lot more interactive this year, voting in not only Trubisky but all the players. Being 12-4, it obviously comes with a lot of fandom, so Bears fans were on top of it. The Falcons were 7-9. I will say Matt Ryan did have the most touchdowns and passing yards in the league. I think like 35 touchdowns for him. Passing was the most in the league. No, yeah, most in the league, I believe, because I think Mahomes had a decent bit of rushing touchdowns. I'm not sure, Joe. I might be completely wrong, but did he have the most? What did Matt Ryan? It was either the most passing touchdowns or most passing yards, but
it definitely wasn't passing yards. I know that for sure. That went to Ben Roethlisberger. So.
Okay, it might have been most passing touchdowns.
It definitely wasn't the most passing touchdowns because
it was most something. It might have been. It was most completions and something else. Anyways, I think Matt Ryan. If you look at his numbers, they were wholeheartedly better than Trubisky's. Less interceptions, much more touchdowns. For Matt Ryan, the Falcons were obviously 7-9. It was a struggle this year for them to get it going. Their offense was pretty flashy throughout the year, though. If I had to vote between Matt Ryan and Trubisky to make it, like say I'm not a Bears fan and I'm unbiased and I had to vote for someone to go in the Pro Bowl, I'd probably vote Matt Ryan over Trubisky, but I see where an argument could be made for Trubisky, and I couldn't be happier for the guy.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this, but the Green Bay Packers had played the Falcons like late in the season, and the Falcons were basically getting blown out that whole game. The Packers were dominating that game, and then as soon as you knew the game was over, Matt Ryan started passing at it. He threw like 3 touchdowns and like no interceptions, but he wasn't doing nothing when the game actually mattered. So that's what I basically said to a lot of Falcons fans that like was coming at Trubisky. I'm like, your quarterback was stat padding this whole season, because if those stats were like true and genuine.
Same with the game. I remember I had Matt Ryan starting in the game against New Orleans on Thanksgiving, and I remember I had a flight to Florida that day, and I remember I got on the flight, I watched the game, he had thrown like 2 interceptions, so I turned it off, and then I fall asleep on the flight, I wake up at the end of the game, and he's got like 3 touchdowns. And like 2 of them were in the last 5 minutes.
Patch daddy, I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you can completely attribute it to that, but I mean, be honest with me. If you're an unbiased voter, who are you voting?
To be unbiased?
Yeah, if you're unbiased, say you're not a Bears fan, who are you voting, Trubisky or Ryan, to get this last spot?
Well, I'm gonna go with Trubisky, and that's not even me like being a biased Bears fan.
I think Trubisky also, another argument that could be made in favor of Trubisky is he's a much more fun player to watch. Everyone knows how good he is on the ground. I mentioned that one play against New England. I think that play stands out as one of the best quarterback runs this season for sure, where he ran like 70 yards.
I'm not choosing Trubisky. Like, even if you're saying I'm unbiased, I'm not choosing Trubisky because I'm a big Bears fan. I'm choosing Trubisky based on the fact of whose team was more successful, and the Bears clearly were. Trubisky was 11-3, and Matt Ryan was 7-9 in starting. Trubisky's team went to the playoffs, and Matt Ryan didn't. So that's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the fans turning out. So that's why I would say Trubisky at the spot. I wouldn't say it was essentially a Pro Bowl season for him. I think his numbers could have been.
Definitely wasn't.
I think maybe if he plays those 2 games against Detroit and the Giants, maybe he gets up to 30 touchdowns. Which I say you can maybe make a slight argument that was a Pro Bowl season, but it wasn't a Pro Bowl starter season. It was a Pro Bowl alternate season. Nonetheless, I'm happy for the guy. I'm super glad that he's going to get the opportunity to go and not only play against the best defense, but he's going to get advice from quarterbacks. He's going to talk to Mahomes, I'm sure. He'll get to talk to guys like Deshaun Watson, who I know he's good friends with. Build relationships with some of the NFL's most respected players, and everyone's rooting for him. It's good to see just not only him, but the entire 2017 draft class that everyone wrote off. Watson, Mahomes, and Trubisky all make a Pro Bowl. It's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, and I said that in my Instagram story. How like basically said people said this draft class was terrible. Deshaun Watson was just a college quarterback. Mahomes was a project, and Trubisky
was also a project.
It was a project, and to see them in their second season, Deshaun Watson had success in his first season before he tore his ACL, and then Mahomes and barely played it, and Trubisky, of course, what he went through. So for us to see them develop into Pro Bowl and playoff starting quarterbacks is crazy, bro.
Yeah, and if you look at all those seasons on paper, Mahomes, Watson, and Trubisky, I wouldn't say Trubisky's was a Pro Bowl season, but it was definitely a solid season. I think one could definitely say it was a good season for him compared to last year.
And one of them is going to be the MVP. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, that'll pretty much do it for this episode, guys. We're all super happy that Mitchell's going to get the opportunity to go down and play in Orlando. And who knows, maybe it'll get at Chicago Bears _ only to post some more on Instagram now. Well, that'll
maybe. Hopefully he plays in the little Pro Bowl games they play.
Oh yeah, I think all the quarterbacks do that. So it'll be I have a reason to watch the Pro Bowl this year. I was maybe gonna watch it this year, but it should be fun to see Trubisky in like the skill competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I can't wait. It's the other Bears players. Mac sadly is not gonna play, but when you get to the Pro Bowl like that, the only time I would really play is in my rookie, like the first time I make it. Other than I'll probably win.
Totally. Yeah. Well, that'll pretty much do it for this episode, guys. If you did enjoy, do us a favor, smash a like on this episode and subscribe. It's cool just seeing this season cap off, and we're going to see all these guys have one last dance in Orlando. It should be a fun time. If you guys want to, tune into the Pro Bowl. I think it's on ESPN this year. The skill competitions are going to happen on, I think, Thursday. On Thursday? Thursday or Friday? Thursday, yeah. And then the actual game will be on Sunday. I'm sure Trubisky won't play too much, but you guys will get to see Eddie Jackson and Tariq Cohen compete. And Kyle Fuller, actually. That'll be a fun time. So the Bears are heading down to Orlando. It should be a fun time. I will say this won't be our last Pro Bowl video. We were just talking about Trubisky here. But later in the week, we will have a video talking about just how we think all our players are going to do in the Pro Bowl. That'll pretty much do it for this one, though, guys. I said earlier you can follow our social media. Our Bears fan page is down in the description. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at BearDown. And that'll pretty much do it for this one, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. We're getting close to 200. We really want to hit it soon. So that'll pretty much do it for us. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bear Down Chicago. Peace.